Bullies laugh at farm woman's outfit, unaware she's richer than all of them combined. Part 2. The grand ballroom of the Crestwood Hotel still carried echoes of the laughter from the previous night. Chandeliers hung like frozen fireworks, their crystals catching the pale sunlight now streaming through tall arched windows. The air smelled faintly of roses and expensive champagne, though the glasses had long been cleared away. Yet in the hearts of those who had attended, the memory of one woman, clad in muddy boots, denim, and a threadbare shirt, was still being discussed, like a spark no one could extinguish. That woman was Clara Beaumont, the farmer's daughter everyone thought they could mock. What they didn't know was that she wasn't just a farmer's daughter. She was an heiress, the sole inheritor of one of the largest agricultural empires in the state, with investments that stretched from farmland to renewable energy to international trade. But Clara had chosen humility and work over diamonds and glitter. Last night, she had walked into that ballroom simply because she had been invited by a business associate. She hadn't dressed to impress, she had come as she was, fresh from tending her land. The laughter she endured cut deep, but Clara's silence had been intentional. She wanted to see who people truly were without the armor of wealth. And she had seen. The gossip after the ball. The next morning, the city's elite buzzed with stories. Did you see her boots? Muddy, in the middle of a ballroom. Sneered Lydia Marlowe, the daughter of a real estate mogul, sipping her espresso as though she had survived a war. I heard she smelled like hay, another woman whispered, wrinkling her nose. But not everyone mocked. There were those who had noticed something unusual in Clara's eyes, a quiet confidence, a strength that didn't bend beneath humiliation. One man in particular, Daniel Harrington, couldn't stop thinking about her. Daniel was known as Crestwood's rising star in finance. He had everything: youth, charm, money, and a line of admirers. But as he replayed the evening in his mind, he couldn't shake the image of Clara standing alone, enduring the cruelty of the crowd with dignity. Unlike others, Daniel had not laughed. He had watched. An unexpected revelation. Clara's secret wasn't meant to stay hidden forever. By noon, a rumor began to spread. A waiter who worked the ball spoke to a journalist, and the journalist tweeted. Greater than, the so-called, farm girl, mocked at last night's Crestwood gala may actually be Clara Beaumont, CEO of Beaumont Agrotech. Within hours, the internet was ablaze. Articles poured in. Who is Clara Beaumont? The billionaire heiress who lives like a farmer. The woman who outsmarted Crestwood's elite. Suddenly, those who had mocked her felt a chill in their veins. Lydia Marlowe nearly dropped her phone when she read the headline. She's who? Lydia gasped, scrolling through Clara's business portfolio. Her father had tried for years to negotiate land rights with Beaumont Agrotech. Clara had the power to crush or elevate entire industries. The return to the ballroom. 2 nights later, Clara returned, not to explain, not to boast, but to make a point. This time, she arrived in an emerald silk gown that shimmered like liquid under the chandeliers. Her hair, usually tied in a simple braid, cascaded in soft curls. Around her neck hung a delicate sapphire pendant that had once belonged to her mother. She looked like a queen descending from a forgotten dynasty. The room fell silent. Whispers rippled through the crowd. That's her. She's beautiful. And she's the Beaumont heiress. Clara walked with measured grace, her gaze steady. She didn't acknowledge the gasps or the stares. She only stopped when Lydia Marlowe, red-faced and trembling, approached her. I didn't know, Lydia stammered. If I had known who you were, Clara cut her off with a smile that held no warmth. If you had known who I was, you would have treated me differently. That's the tragedy of this place. Her voice was calm, but it carried like a blade through the room. Daniel's stand. It was then that Daniel stepped forward, breaking the tension. Unlike the others, he didn't bow his head in shame or scramble to apologize. He simply smiled at Clara. You didn't need a gown to silence this room, he said quietly. You already did that the first night, just by standing tall. Clara studied him. There was no mockery in his eyes, no false sweetness. Only honesty. She tilted her head slightly, intrigued. Most people laughed, she replied. I didn't, he said. Because I saw someone who refused to hide who she was. The exchange was brief, but it struck something deep inside Clara. For the first time in years, she felt seen, not for her money, not for her title, but for her courage. A shift in power. From that evening forward, the dynamic of Crestwood society changed. Invitations poured in for Clara, partnerships were offered, and apologies flowed like wine. But Clara wasn't interested in flattery. She remembered every laugh, every sneer. Instead, she chose to invest her energy in those who had treated her with kindness. She funded scholarships for the waitstaff's children, donated to the local hospital, and sponsored projects for struggling farmers. She turned her humiliation into opportunity, not for revenge, but for impact. Yet, despite her generosity, she never forgot the cruelty. She knew that money could buy apologies, but it couldn't buy character. Clara and Daniel. Over time, Daniel and Clara grew close. He visited her farm, trading his tailored suits for rolled-up sleeves and boots. Together, they walked through fields of wheat swaying like gold under the sun. Daniel listened as Clara explained the science of soil, the art of harvesting, the business of sustainability. One evening, while the horizon blazed with orange and purple, Daniel turned to her. "You could live in a mansion. Travel the world. Why stay here?" Clara smiled, brushing a strand of hair from her face. "Because this is where life is real. Money doesn't feed the soul, work, love, and purpose do. If you lose touch with the earth, you lose yourself." Her words sank into him, reshaping his understanding of success. The grand gesture. Months later, the Crestwood Gala returned, bigger than ever. This time, the organizers begged Clara to attend as the guest of honor. When she arrived, hand in hand with Daniel, she was met with thunderous applause. But Clara wasn't interested in their admiration. She walked directly to the stage, holding the microphone with quiet authority. "Last year," she began, "I came to this gala in the clothes I wear every day. I was laughed at, mocked, humiliated. Not because I was unworthy, but because I was different. That night, I learned a lesson about this city. And tonight, I want to return the favor. You see, wealth isn't in diamonds or silk. It's in kindness. In how you treat people when you think they have nothing to offer you. True wealth isn't counted in dollars, it's counted in dignity." The hall was silent. Not even a glass clinked. Clara raised her chin. "So tonight, I'm announcing a new foundation, funded with $20 million. It will support those who've been overlooked, mocked, or dismissed. Because no one deserves to feel small for simply being themselves." The applause that followed wasn't just loud, it was thunderous, filled with shame, awe, and respect. The final triumph. Lydia Marlowe sat in the front row, her cheeks wet with tears she couldn't explain. The same woman she had once mocked now stood taller than any crown could make her. Daniel squeezed Clara's hand, pride shining in his eyes. And Clara Beaumont, once the farm girl everyone laughed at, became a legend. Not because of her billions. Not because of her beauty. But because she had turned scorn into strength, cruelty into compassion, and humiliation into history.